Welcome to Real Day Nation, where on Real Day we have field days, and on Real Week we let the real speak. And today's episode is on Brain on Standby. Is AI causing our kids to use less critical thinking? I said, is AI causing our kids to use less critical thinking, but I believe AI also affects the adult world as well. With the kids, I feel like a lot of the kids are using AI to do their schoolwork.
Cheater.
It's moving into the real world. And what I mean by that is you have those who use ChatGPT and things like that to get answers for their homework.
Nothing but a liar, a cheater, a deceiver, heartbreak.
To write paragraphs for them, and a lot of the times they don't proofread it, so they're not learning from it. So AI can be used to be better at your writing if you use it correctly. So that's the thing. Now, if we're just using it to answer our questions and write our essays and not even learning from it, because you can learn from AI, if we're not doing that to learn from it, then of course the brain is on standby, because it's not necessarily learning anymore. It's write this for me. It has caused the teachers to come up with a countermeasure now. So now they're looking for countermeasures to see if what you wrote is in your own words.
Gotcha.
Because back in the day when we had to write our paper and we were on Google and things like that, they forced us. They say cite your source. So wasn't really no cheating on that. Cite your source if you're going to quote someone and use your own words. Your page could not be filled with sources, pretty much. You had to put it in your own words. So that's the challenge that we had. A lot of the times that challenge is not faced with the younger generation, with the kids nowadays. I think it starts in middle school. I don't see elementary kids hopping on ChatGPT to I guess color a page or do 1 plus 2 or whatever. So I think it starts in middle school and gradually increases up to high school and even college.
I think it's starting to flood the elementary school scene as well as advance into other areas. And the only reason I say that is because I like to follow the technological trend, what everybody is into. Like when everybody was in the iPads real heavy, they were in the iPads so heavy that there was a situation in the NFL where athletes and coaches were calling Windows tablets iPad. Hey, grab that iPad over there. Hey, do this, do that. And they were referring to a Windows Surface tablet as an iPad. I bring that up because AI, as it falls under technological advancement, I believe kids are getting more into it because they're seeing the excitement and the gratification that the older kids are getting from using AI. So that's what makes older kids make things attractive for younger kids. Of course, there's parenting, there's all types of accountability there, but younger kids are going to always want to be attracted to follow older kids because their future is closer to now with the younger kids. Adults, the future for them being adults is a little more distant. They can kind of relate to the older kids a little bit better than adults. So it's more attractive to younger kids. And so younger kids are getting into it. Just like there was a time younger kids was not into iPads and tablets. And then all of a sudden you see kids going from the bottle to picking up a tablet, from a pacifier to picking up a tablet, and sometimes both. So I think it has a lot to do with attraction. I do think that AI presents like a good, evil kind of concept, if you will, because kids are not being challenged to use the processes they would usually use. Like you said, back in the day, we had to show our work. A lot of the worksheets and a lot of the things we had that little statement that we hate so much. Show your work. The show your work part is what AI is sort of taking over. So we're not having to show our work as much as long as we get to the result. That's a very dangerous and attractive option to running your brain through a process of being wrong so many times, being right so many times, or even diving into the reason why this is the correct answer. So yes, I do think that there is some effect of critical thinking as it pertains to AI. I do think it affects our kids and adults, but I think, as you said, it's the utilization. How are you using AI? Like one of my professors used to say, when going to school for computers and stuff, computers are amazing, technology is amazing, but we must not forget that it is man-made. So we write in our own mistakes. We write in our own emotions and how we are feeling that day when we're analyzing AI or designing an AI construct. We bring all of our biases and all of our walks of life and all of our culture into AI. AI is just a digital version of what we're thinking. It's the evolution from Google and sites like Google that collect all of our data to see what we like and start advertising certain stuff a certain way. We still take the same formula of human communication and human existence and what we do in those areas, and we push that into AI. So we're not creating anything different than us. We're creating something that is giving us what we desire sooner rather than going through a process of getting what it is we're looking for. We are shortening the process and in some areas eliminating process altogether, leaning more to instant gratification, which in some cases it's not an issue. It becomes an issue though when our minds forget or become somewhat delayed in how to process the normalities of life. God forbid the complexities, but just the basic stuff. I do think it's a double-edged sword. I do appreciate AI, but it definitely is causing some cognitive difficulties as it pertains to the use.
I'm going to touch on a few things that you mentioned, them being attracted to it because of the older kids. I don't necessarily believe that's the case. I think the case is they are looking for an easier way, an easier route. It don't necessarily got to be seen what the older kids are doing. It could be their peers. Their peers probably got it from an older kid, so you may have a point there. But I think that what they're looking for is the easy way. So if they feel like, oh, I don't got to spend too much time on my homework anymore.
Cheater.
Because I could get maybe to a game faster, I could go play a little faster, I'll do that. So what they'll do is, for something as simple as give your opinion on the weather today, they'll go and look up that answer rather than going and see what that weather is like.
I normally do sports. Everything is canceled here.
Just for that quick gratification or just faster route. So what they do is when they go on this AI and ChatGPT or whatever, they look for answers rather than just critically thinking about it. I've seen cases to where they'll even use it to respond to a peer. Maybe they can't find the words, or they'll just want to be faster with it. So how should I respond to this, or how should I respond to that? Now I've seen adults do this as well, but I'll say the way that we use it is for help. We'll try to figure it out ourselves first. A lot of the times when we're sending those emails, people detect their own tones in emails, right? So before we were having our coworkers or our friends, hey, check out this email before I send it. See if it sounds right to you. You know what I'm saying? See if you detecting a tone or anything in that before I send it. Now you don't even have to do that anymore. You could just put that email in whatever AI and say, check this, check the grammar, what kind of tone are you getting from this email, or you can even make it sound more compassionate. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I see adults using it for, and also helping the kids with their homework, because we like this with the what we like to say every generation is this that new math,
right?
You know?
Yeah, that new
so
math.
We gotta look at that. Let me go ahead and see how this is done. Or we'll get mad and say, you should know this, you the one in school, things like that. So that's why we
for real, man.
That AI stuff as adults. I know there are some, so I'm not saying none at all when it comes to the adults using AI. I know there are some adults that, because I even see some people in our generation using it to have conversations with their loved one. If you need AI to have a conversation with a loved one, that's why I take issue. Like, we don't need this. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, it's abusing it,
You know, I think yes,
misusing it.
yes. But when it comes to the kids, I'll say I just mostly see them doing it for homework, for schoolwork. You know, so now they don't have to necessarily use their critical thinking. What was that thing we used to do? AI is doing for them now. What's that thing we used to do? Brainstorming.
Yes.
We had to do before we write anything. We had to brainstorm. AI is having them skip that whole brainstorming thing, and now they could just look at this and be like, okay, I just copy and paste this. The bad side about it, just copying and pasting and not reading it, so you can get better with your writing, so you don't have to use this anymore. You know, so that's the thing. A study from Stanford from 2023 says 60% of children are using AI. You know, it's a little lower than I thought, but that's still a lot. 60%.
Well, it draws to the reason why, like you said. What is the reason why adults are using AI? What's the reason why children are using AI? Now, that's a winding road to think about that, because people have different reasons. But what people have to understand is that it still takes a level of education somewhere. You don't have to have a degree, but you still have to know how to read. You still have to know how to research, and you still have to know, and here's the biggest one that I see with people using AI, you have to know what to ask. The question and the way the question is structured and the conditions and all the different elements that go along with trying to get this question answered has to be something that's considered when using AI. Now, the issue I hear you having, Drell, is the evolution of our use, not necessarily the technology itself, but the evolution of how we're using the technology altogether. Because yes, it has taken over an emotional paradigm in us as it pertains to the use of AI. We are using it and making it a part of our emotional decision making as it pertains to family members and people that are close to us. Now, I know some people may not be able to formulate the words and try to express how they feel, and AI can be a very good tool for that, but I do believe you should just be able to go to your family member and say, I'm tired, or I'm sorry, or good morning, or hey, we have to talk about something, and it not be as awkward. If it's that awkward, then maybe the relationship is the thing that needs to be checked and not AI. Maybe you need to take a pause from AI being an issue and check where you are relationally and where you are mentally and physically and spiritually when you're using AI. Because it all matters, man. Like, there's a scripture in the Bible, I forget the actual where it comes from, the actual part of the Bible it comes from, but it says there's nothing new under the sun. The guy that said it was in a backslidden state when he made the statement. Most people don't look at that because they don't look at the whole story. They just take that and try to apply it as some sort of metamorphosis or revelatory knowledge to say that there's nothing new under the sun, literally, when there are new things and new discoveries all the time. But you got to look at the context that people use when they say that.
I want to get into something because you just reminded me of something.
Okay.
About AI and the way people just don't go outright and say what they are feeling. I think a lot of people are less confrontational a lot of the times, right? But I'll also say what we did back in the day is something similar to what they're doing now. And that is, you want to tell somebody something and you don't know how to say it. What we did back in the day, like I'll bring it over to elementary, maybe even middle school level, when we liked a girl, right? And we were too nervous to say anything. And it's so we didn't go up and tell a girl like, hey, I like you. Do you like me? What we did, we wrote it down. Check yes, check no. Do you like me, right? And had somebody else deliver it. We wasn't giving it to, sometimes some of them were delivering it themselves, but we would have somebody else go ahead and give it to her for me, you know, and things like that. And so when you got those same people who are not, I'm gonna say the same people, but people who are feeling the same way as some did back in the day, now you could be like, hey, I don't know what to say. Can you say this? Say this for me. It's the same thing with music, because you know, with a lot of more so R&B artists who sing about love and sing about things, and but you got some rappers as well. Somebody else is writing those words. You can say it's a person because the person made the AI, but it's really just AI. I've seen somebody use AI to write a book. I heard of that. I don't know if you heard of that. They wrote a
Yeah,
book
I've
in
heard
AI.
of people doing that. But I mean, if you're a writer, like I'm a writer, so I would use AI to help me spark an idea, maybe, or I would use
Yes.
AI to see how it would sound if it was written a certain way. But to actually write for me, that's not gonna happen. Not for me. That goes back to the reasons why. If somebody's looking to make a quick buck and they kind of get into that world, then they're looking at that. You know what I'm saying? But they have to also realize that people are going to know that that is AI and not you. You know what I'm saying? So back to the note passing, you know, sometimes I saw a situation, I forget the names because, you know, we've lived since the fifth, sixth grade. But I remember seeing a situation kind of like that where a note was passed. It was used by, you know, it was a boy to a girl, and he used his friend to pass a note. And the friend ended up taking the girl. I know that's a very elementary, very, very elementary type of situation, but take from it the wisdom that you will. Sometimes it's important that you deliver the message. You know what I'm saying? So people are trying to put more of themselves in the little boy that's passing the note by using AI. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to put personality to it and not realizing the danger of that is that this thing was created by us. So we're the ones that give it life and give it what to say. We're literally creating something to give us the answers to what we're seeking, but we're the ones that are creating the answer to what we're seeking. I think we need to understand that about AI. You know, it could be a good tool, but we're the ones that are creating it. So if we're creating the tool, then somewhere down inside, especially from a spiritual standpoint, you know how I roll, the answer is there. Or the answer is with the source that gives you the energy to wake up and think of using AI. Now, I have nothing against AI as a tool. I use AI as a tool sometimes, but I am aware that it is a tool. The AI is not me. The AI is not going to do my job for me or make music for me. The AI will maybe give me some thoughts and something to research or something to spark me, but that is because of the approach I have to using AI. Everybody has a different approach, and that's why the results come out the way they do. I heard a young guy that was trying to get into the music world was going to get a contract, go unnamed, but the young gentleman took the contract, had it sent to him on digits, and used AI and asked the question, explain this contract to me like a fifth grader. He saved himself a lawyer. He saved himself time in the studio with producers because they were all trying to get him. He has, you know, he's a young guy, has a lot of money, but he didn't understand the business aspect of music a lot. But he used AI and saved himself with 4 years off of a time hack, and he just learned 4 years worth of knowledge in a single question that AI was asking. That's one other thing, though, I want to touch on as it pertains to AI and the reason why younger people use AI. Some younger people rely a whole lot on AI because of gatekeeping. The older generations or the guys that are older and girls that are older are withholding too much information. And they are requiring too much to get the information. It costs too much. And sometimes I'm not even talking about money. We see situations play out on the news all the time. I'm not going to say any names, but we seeing situations play out on the news all the time, especially in recent years, that prove the cost of having access is too high. Younger people like using AI in different genres and for different reasons, but they love using AI. One of the primary reasons is because it doesn't cost as much as giving your time and yourself and your energy to situations that could possibly be abused or people can possibly manipulate you. AI is not going to manipulate any young person. It's going to spit out what you ask it. So they don't have to worry about somebody being creepy with them, or they ain't have to worry about somebody holding them in position for 20 years and then saying they're ready. You know what I'm saying? They don't have to worry about a lot of the things that come with toxic mentorship. That's what they tell me, and it makes perfect sense to me.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so they're like, if I can ask AI, I don't have to deal with you thinking I'm not ready or you thinking I'm not humble enough, and you keep using that and constantly telling me that. That's going to wear down on a young guy or a young girl after a while. And a lot of them will just stop seeking what it was they were looking for. But if they're smart, like a lot of them are that I talk to, go ask AI. We're out of the era of you don't know nothing about that. Remember hearing that all the time as a young kid? Oh, you don't know nothing about that. Tell them that now.
Yeah.
They go say, hey, blank, or hey, blank, tell me about fill in the blank. And in 30 seconds, they have wiped out your perception of their ignorance. We have to be careful in how we handle young people and AI as a whole for whoever's using it, but definitely with young people. We just got to be careful with that. But that's what I think about it.
Yeah, I think that without the increase in technology and AI, that back in the day, and I'm not saying that tech is evil. I want to get that clear. I'm not saying it's evil. Just giving both angles from it. So I know back in the day, before even caller IDs, you had to memorize a number. You know what I'm saying? So we were the original caller IDs before caller IDs. You know, so you see a number pop up, or you see that somebody asked for somebody number, your mama number, your daddy number. You knew that by heart because you had to remember it. You know, so it wasn't anything saved in your phone or anything like that. Imagine if AI was prevalent in the 90s and things like that. Then you'll see that even with video games, you had to be more critical with your thinking and memorize a few things. Try to find secrets in video games back in the day before you can even look it up on a video. Remember they had the magazines back in the day before YouTube now, where you could do game walkthroughs through YouTube. You had to purchase that magazine. You know,
shout out to IGN. That was one of mine. IGN, baby. Yeah.
I specifically remember the Resident Evil one. AI has increased that tool that people are, and even young people are using to get their answers. I for sure, I'm with that 100%. Especially if somebody is not trying to give you that information. This is why we constantly do this at Real Day Nation. We tell people to talk to their people, talk to your kids, because if you don't want your kids to learn it from somebody else and learn it the wrong way, go ahead and tell them. Give them that information. And even when you're telling them to do something and they want to understand, now I can understand it could be annoying. Like if your kid's asking you something and you tell them to go do something, they say, why? Why I got to do that? You know, I can understand that being annoying. Yeah, look. Yeah.
Go take the trash out.
That's fighting words.
Why? Do I have to take the trash out right now?
This is a little off topic, but this is what I explain to my boys, so they don't have to look this up or hear this answer from anyone else. When I tell them about their chores and to do something, like let's say I say go clean the bathroom, take out the trash, and they don't ask me why, but I decided to just tell them just because I want them to know. I tell them that eventually you're going to be an adult, you're going to have your own home. And it's my duty while you're here to show you how to keep that home clean. Not wait until you get your own home and then you don't know how to clean. So I say, I tell you to go clean your bathroom, and I tell you if something is not right, or I tell you to take out the trash or whatever, I'm telling you this. So when you are out there in that real world, in your own world, that you know how to do these things. So that's how I dress it up. And I believe I'm dressing it up the right way so they understand. Like, I'm not just telling you to do this because I don't want to do it. I'm telling you to do this so you know how to do it and know how to do it correctly. And that's why you don't want nobody else or even AI give them the answer. Because AI or somebody else could be like, yeah, they tripping. I'm not saying AI would tell you to tell them they tripping, but somebody else could be like, yeah.
But it's
they
not a
lazy,
far-fetched
they don't want
thought.
you to do it. Yeah.
That's the problem. We laugh about it, bro, because back in the day, we would have laughed at a thought like that. But a thought like that is not too far off in 2025. You know what I'm saying? So it really is not. They're building bots, robots with AI and stuff. You know what I'm saying? That can talk back to you and have emotions and all of this crazy stuff going on. So yeah, we really do have to be careful.
Not
in how
only
we
that,
deal with
AI
it.
is taking in your emotions. How
Yeah.
you're typing in Chat GPT right now.
Right.
I keep saying Chat GPT because that's the most popular one.
Right.
But it's not only Chat GPT. But
Yeah.
how you're typing in AI right now, it's collecting all of that data. And if you ask AI to talk like you, watch. It'll type the same way, talk the same way, the same tones you put it in AI, they'll throw it right back at you. I took a training last year or the year before. I'm gonna tell you why I was putting this training. I think I was putting this training because of the way I responded to somebody who got mad at me in the email, work email, by the way. I think they got mad at me, and I responded to them on my day off. So I'm like, hold on, I'm responding to you, and I probably had a little tone in it. I'm like, I'm off, but I'm giving you this information, and you're giving me attitude. Probably had a little tone in that, so I think they just threw me in this training so I could just work on my tones in my emails. And they were saying how this guy used AI to have one of his. He did it as a joke. It wasn't serious, but he told AI to talk like Snoop Dogg in their response to someone.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, man.
Yeah.
No, that is not who you ask AI to
Yeah.
imitate. Snoop?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. That's how AI is, man. Like everything that you're putting out there is going to throw it back at you. Like somebody, like your parents used to say, like, what you put on the internet is there forever. Same with AI, whatever you're telling AI right now, how you're texting it, your tone, your personality that you put in these messages to AI, you could tell them to talk like you. When you could text AI and be like, hey, what you think about this, and respond like you're me, and AI will do that to you if you put enough information in it. So
Hey, Chad, y'all try that out, man. Y'all let me know.
Yeah.
Try that out and put in the comment section what you got back. You don't have to do it in detail or whatever, because I don't know. Some of y'all are crazy. I don't know. But be asking AI some wild stuff, bro. No, hey, ask AI a question and ask AI to respond like you, and let us know if it worked. Let us know if it worked. Put it in the chat, because that's wild, bro. So AI will take your personality on. Yeah, that's a very interesting thing. But yeah, man, y'all be careful with AI either way. Be careful how you use it. Explore. There's nothing wrong with exploring new technology, but just be careful like you use it with anything else. Be careful. Use everything in moderation, and use your brain. Take your brain out of standby. Use your brain. It's okay to still think with this AI stuff. Don't let AI do all the thinking for you, because then you go start talking weird. You go start sounding like you usually don't sound, and people are gonna figure out it's not you.
I encourage you to find your own voice, find your own words a lot of those times, and not just use AI and talking over the internet or through these texts, because at the end of the day, it's that human interaction that matters the most. And you want to make sure that when you're having those human interactions, that you are indeed human. That you're not responding like something AI would say. You're not using your own emotions. You're thinking, how should I respond to this, or things like that. So that human interaction is the most important thing. Yes, AI is a great tool to have, especially if you're using it in the right way. And what I mean by the right way is what we spoke on is you're using it to get better and not making AI that spokesperson for you. You're using it to get better, whether you want to work on your sentence structure, your grammar, or even get better with your math. AI can explain how they broke it down, how they solved for this. so you understand it. It's always cool to go old school too. If you see somebody who's in your classroom who's excelling at that work in that classroom, I tell my boys this. I say, ask them how they understand it. They probably could explain it to you better than, AI could tell it, because they telling you on a human level. Ask them like, okay, you're excelling in this. You got A's. You understand this very well. How do you understand it? And they can tell you right then and there. You don't have to type it up. They can tell you right then, oh, okay, I look at it this way. This is how I do it. I say, ask your peers. They don't got to necessarily be your friend. Ask your peer in class, how they understand it, and go that way. That's that human level. Now, let's say, okay, you're not, brave enough to go speak to somebody and you want to go to AI, cool. But make sure if you go to them, the way they explain it, you understand it as well. Now, on a adult level, as far as us, I know a lot of the times I'm not sure too much, but for myself, if I'm using it, I'm probably using it to help understand how their homework is, because it's probably old math, but it's new math to me. I've been out of school way too long. I'm not using that same math. X, Y, Z. Once you start adding letters, you confuse me. but I'm using it to help understand that. Or even, let's say I'm writing an email up and I want to make sure that my grammar is correct, my email sounds good. If I don't have a coworker next to me, like, hey, check this out. If I don't feel like talking to nobody, because that's a thing too. Just running through it like, hey, check this email, check my grammar, and make sure it's all good. And I'm reading it, because you want to read it, because AI is not perfect. I want you to understand that AI is cool and it's getting better, but it's not perfect, because you can ask it something and it give you the answer to something else completely. That's not even what you ask, because now it needs to understand where you're going. So it's not perfect. So I'll even proofread it for myself to be like, okay, yeah, that sound right. And that way I probably don't have to use it again, because now I know what my mistakes are. I could just type it up myself and fix that mistake that AI caught for me. I encourage you to know that, and this is for any adults that are listening, if your kids are indeed using AI and you're fine with it, because you may use it as well, you want to encourage them to not only use this and turn that brain off, but keep that brain clicked up, turn it on, turn it bright, you know what I'm saying, and be like, okay, cool, I like the way they said this, I'm gonna adopt that and make it my own.
Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe here at Real Day Nation. We love to have field days, and on Real Week we love to let the real speak, and the real has spoken.